Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Matt with Green Bar Trading here. Welcome back to another weekly watch list video where we're going to go over everything you need to know for the week ahead. Hit that thumbs up for the video. And if you are new, consider subscribing to the channel. So up there where we start every weekly watch list is your earnings for the week. Earnings reports, not many going on this week as we get prepared for earnings season. That's with the banks, that's with the airlines, and that's still a couple of weeks away. So far, this is what you have for your earnings for the week. All right, now going over to the economic calendar. So something interesting that we have going on, right now, so today's Saturday. Right now, I don't know if the government is going to shut down. Right now, McCarthy, who's a Republican, announced that the House will vote on a 45-day short-term spending bill. Now, the deadline for all of this is tonight at midnight. So I don't know, where this is going to end up going, what's going to happen for the week. But if they don't get this spending bill passed, then the government gets shut down. If the government shuts down, these reports that you see, so on Friday, you have the U.S. Employment report, so the jobs numbers. These are not going to come out if the government is in a shutdown. So just keep in mind, a lot of the stuff you see up here on your economic calendar is not going to show up if there is a shutdown. So we won't know the jobs numbers on Friday. They simply will not be released. And that goes for next week also. The PPI, the CPI, these are all not going to get released if there is a shutdown. So keep that in mind. That's kind of where we're at right now. But if everything goes good and they do pass a bill, then you're going to see all of this stuff here come out next week. And the big one is that Friday, the jobs numbers, right? So we want to see unemployment rate. We want to see how many jobs were created, the hourly wages. That's all going to be really important. And that's going to be on Friday. All right, so that's your economic calendar and government shutdown possibilities. And then going over to our sectors and their relative performance to each other, I like to look at the 1 week relative performance. So utilities, those defensive stocks had a tough time, a really tough time last week. Now, nothing really did well. So oil went up, energy went up for the week. That's basically it. Everything else has basically been in the red. Technology, communication services eked out a very tiny gain, but it was very choppy. All right. So that's the 1 week relative performance. Utilities got hammered. So that's your sectors there on the week. Going over to the SPY, our compass. Where do we see support? Where do we see possible resistance? Where is our really important indicators, trend lines? This is all technical analysis, and looking at our volume profile. All right, so that's what we're at right now. We have the RSI down here, which is showing extremely oversold conditions right now. Usually when something is oversold, you'll see a bounce. If something is overbought, you will see a pullback, right? As you can see here, once the RSI hit up here into overbought territory, you get a little pullback for a week. Same thing back here. You hit the highs on the RSI, you see a pullback. Same thing holds true, though, when you start to get that really oversold conditions, you'll see a little bit of a bounce. We just so happen to be on this trend line here for the past year of trading. It's been a very good trend line, very solid. So we saw some support here and we saw a little bit of a bounce. But this is where it's really, I like to look at the volume profile because a lot of big volume is happening on those down days, a lot of selling. You're seeing a lot of distribution days where there's more volume than the day before when the market is down more than 0.2%. So you're getting a lot of that. That's suggesting that you have institutional investors, traders, maybe taking profits from the first part of the year. All makes sense. And that's why we're seeing these big distribution days here. Now, we did hit this trend line. So this is where we're at right now. Friday's trading day did not look good, right? We opened up higher for the day and then just continued to sell off during the day on heavy volume. Not great. Now, your volume profile has a big gap here, right? All the way down to 410, the 420s. You have the 200-day moving average, which is very important on the daily chart. That's sitting at about 419. I almost feel like it wants to come close this vacuum here with the volume, hit the 200, maybe even go a little bit lower before making a bit of a recovery. Now, in our last couple videos, we have shown the importance of this 50-day moving average. And once we broke down under it, we have seen continued weakness, a lot more bearishness. Now you have a 20 EMA that is facing straight down. You have the 50 turning over a little bit. So, there's a lot of bearish looking signals, including the volume. The RSI is the only thing that is being used as a contrarian indicator of oversold conditions is almost ripe to see a bounce at some point, okay? So if the RSI, it got a little bit of a bounce here when it was oversold, if we continue down further, maybe we get that bounce down here somewhere, all right? So that's what I'm gonna be looking at if, this trend line does not hold up. This trend line breaks, this volume, like this ledge right here, is almost certainly going to be that next area of support for the SPY. All right, so that's what I'm looking at there on the QQQ. Sort of the same thing. The moving averages here, the 50, we're under it. The 20 EMA, we're under it, right? Making a series of lower highs, right, and lower lows. So we were doing higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows for the entire first half of the year, and then started to change that a little bit, right? Right up here, we could not make a higher high than right here. All right, that's your first example of maybe this is changing a little bit. Maybe this trend is starting to get exhausted and starting to change, right? Lower high. And then you get that lower low. All right, a little bit of a trend change. Doesn't mean that the market has to, collapse totally. But once again, on the Qs, look at all this air you have under price right now. You have the 200 moving average at 330. You have all of this room. There's been no volume taking place here in the past year. Nothing. The closest support you have is down here into the 325s, the 320s, nice big volume ledges that should be used as support. But until then, you really don't have much outside of this 200-day moving average. So that's what I'm seeing in the markets. I'm seeing these distribution days, big red selling days on higher volume. And, the trend is starting to change a little bit. So just keep in mind with the QQQ and the SPY, the markets are starting to look a little bit like they want to reverse. All right. That reversal has started to take place. So we're just going to keep watching that. We're going to watch the government shutdowns and how they affect the economic calendar for the coming week. And yep, that's basically it for me. So hit the thumbs up. I'll see you back on the next one. Take care, guys.